Donald Trump is already distancing himself from Rudy Giuliani following the revelation earlier today that 2 of Giuliani's associates were apparently arrested while attempting to flee the country. We're gonna have the details on what they're being charged with. But first here, from just a little bit ago, is Donald Trump being asked about it.
I don't know those gentlemen. Now, it's possible I have a picture with them because I have a picture with everybody. I have a picture with everybody here. But somebody said there may be a picture or something where at a fundraiser or somewhere. But I have pictures with everybody. I don't know if there's anybody I don't have pictures with. I don't know them. I don't know about them. I don't know what they do. But I don't know. Maybe they were clients of Rudy. You'd have to ask Rudy. I just don't know.
Just to be clear, the question was, it was either do you know them or what do you know about them? And he began saying picture, I don't know, is there pictures? Maybe there's pictures. I take a lot of pictures of everybody. I'm taking selfies, I'm like Elizabeth Warren. I got selfie lines up and down the block.
Yeah.
Because the photos are out. We're gonna have the photos. We already have the photos. He knows that he's seen the photos. Everybody talking to him has seen the photos. So that performance needs to go on.
Yeah, well, 2 things about that performance. One, it sounds like a guy who's closeted walking into a room going, "I'm not gay." Okay, no one asked, right? No one asked about the pictures yet. And you're like, it could be pictures, there could be pictures, but it doesn't mean I know them. Well, they've given a lot of money to you. So that's how you might know them, because that's the kind of folks that you usually care about. And then of course, a usual Trumpian, I've got pictures with almost everybody. Here's a person you don't have a picture with. Okay, thank God. And so it's an absurd claim, obviously. In fact, that reaction, I didn't think that Trump was that implicated. He took a ton of money from them, but he might not have known that they were funneling the money from foreign countries, etc. But his panic reaction makes me think, oh, he knew. And apparently he's more involved.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's hard to say. More importantly, at the end of that, he's starting to say like, yo, you should talk to Rudy. Talk to Rudy. I don't even know Rudy. Who's Rudy? So we're getting there.
I love Rudy. There. Good movie.
Yeah.
Good movie. Kid couldn't play. Got on the team. Scored a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah. But you're talking about a different Rudy, Giuliani. I never heard of him.
Yeah. Rudy's like, oh, Trump is such a good friend of mine. We're just hanging out on the side of the road, and there's a bus coming, and now he's picking me up by the seat of my pants.
You know, it's funny because there was a circumstance where I would have found myself in the position of saying, well, the picture is useful politically, but the picture with the president really doesn't mean anything. They could have been, they're obviously associates of Giuliani. He brought him in, get the picture. Trump's like, great to meet you guys. Thanks for all your great work. And he doesn't know them. But after that little performance, I'm like thinking, oh no, he knows him.
Yeah.
Really well.
Yeah, like extremely well, yeah.
I would assume at this point that people would know some of the basics, but let's just run through it really fast, just in case. The FBI arrested the 2 men, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, who were also important witnesses in the House's impeachment inquiry as they were trying to board a Frankfurt-bound flight with one-way tickets on Wednesday night, as you do. They were going for food, I guess.
After lunch earlier in the day.
Yeah.
With Rudolph Giuliani.
At
a Trump hotel. I mean, it's like out of a movie.
It's pretty perfect.
And as you tweeted earlier, Ben, their names sound like characters out of a
film noir. Yeah.
And take a look at how our justice.
And Igor Fruman. Somebody responded to me on Twitter with that Igor Fruman must be the brother of the Sausage King of Chicago, which is a great Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Abe Froman, the Sausage King of Chicago.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So at an initial court appearance earlier today, prosecutors said they were concerned that they were flight risks, but that they would negotiate with their lawyers about a possible bail package. Gee, do you think they were like getting on? They checked their bag already on a one-way flight. That's not actually what happened, but they had one-way tickets out of the country. Yeah, they might be a flight risk.
Okay, 2 things. One, under no circumstance should they get bail. If they get bail, that's the last time we ever see them. Okay. Secondly, if you want to get away with something, do not buy a one-way ticket. That's the biggest telltale sign that you're leaving and not coming back and up to no good.
Exactly.
So like we all know now, like the 9/11 terrorists, they all bought one-way first-class tickets, and now every law enforcement authority knows, look for the guys buying one-way tickets.
I mean, maybe they were just going to Europe to find themselves. #live free. Just go. Don't book a return flight yet. You don't know where you might end up. So what did they actually do? Well, according to the indictment unsealed in New York, Parnas, Fruman, and other defendants, quote, conspired to circumvent the federal laws against foreign influence by engaging in a scheme to funnel foreign money to candidates for federal and state office so that the defendants could buy potential influence with the candidates, campaigns, and the candidates' governments. They previously drew the attention of the FEC for donating over $300,000 to a pro-Trump super PAC, America First PAC.
He doesn't know them. I don't know them. There might be a picture, they might be $325,000, but I don't know them.
It remains to be seen. What does not remain to be seen is that America First PAC is taking money from people who definitely are not putting America's interests first here. But anyway, we always knew that it was a sham. So last year, they donated money to and pledged to raise additional funds for a member of Congress who was not named in the indictment, but is identified in campaign finance filings as Representative Pete Sessions, Republican of Texas. So another name gets drawn into this story.
Do you have any more from that article or anything? Or
about Pete Sessions?
No, just about what they did. Because Cenk, you were asking beforehand, and like the New York Times makes it a little clear. Parnas and Fruman illegally funneled money through a company they set up to mask themselves as its sources, then gave the money to pro-Trump super PAC America First. According to the indictment, prosecutors said that Parnas and Fruman, along with the other two men indicted, Correa and Kukushkin, also funneled money with ties to Russia to state and federal candidates in exchange for potential influence, according to the indictment.
So there's two potential crimes here, and obviously they've been arrested, so that now alleged crimes. But one is you can't have foreign countries, companies, or individuals donate to American political campaigns. Okay, so the second potential, not potential, but alleged crime here is that you can't donate under somebody else's name, and so that's also an allegation. So Fruman was that person actually supplying the funding, but Parnas, I believe, is the one that said he was giving the money. So that's funneling money through someone else to avoid limits, and that is also illegal. So these two guys are in a lot of trouble.
And I guess these two guys are the associates of Rudy. The two other guys indicted, one of whom is expected to turn himself in, Correa, and then Kukushkin was he appeared in federal court in San Francisco.
Yeah. Now, so those are the things we know, and those are the things that they're in big trouble over. What we don't know is how much Giuliani and Trump are implicated. So Giuliani is their lawyer. So if he didn't know any of this and he's their lawyer, then there's no trouble at all. Okay. On the other hand, if he did know it, and this is part of a scheme to get Ukraine to investigate the Bidens, and Giuliani is aiding and abetting that, and he's in a lot of trouble.
It would be remarkable if Giuliani, who was aggressively, proudly visiting Ukraine and calling to attempt to get them to investigate Biden, was working with these two guys, Ukrainians with influence, and American citizens also. I mean, these guys are also American citizens, but that part didn't come up. I mean, like we're stretching the bounds of credulity.
Right, what else was he working with them on? Like if he was their lawyer on a traffic ticket, right? Or they were brought up on armed robbery and something else, and he was their lawyer. And look at this coincidence. It turns out they're Ukrainian American and have been funneling money from outside the country into Trump's campaign. And so what were they asking for? Among the different things they were asking for was to get the US ambassador to Ukraine fired. Why?
Which worked.
Yeah, and of course Trump did fire her, but they didn't have to ask very hard. She was not in favor of continuing the bogus requests for the corruption of the Bidens in Ukraine. So she was not in favor of that. She's like, look, I hear you, but Ukrainian government already investigated that, and it turns out there's nothing to it. So I don't know what you want me to do. And so these guys connected to Giuliani, come in and go fire her, and Trump goes, oh, okay, and he fires her. And so they got what they wanted. And look, there's another angle to this because you see all the Ukrainian figures, but you also hear about potentially money coming in from Russia. This is really important and not mentioned in almost any of the news items, okay? So why do the Russians care about any of this? Well, obviously they've got the situation where they annexed Crimea, which used to be part of Ukraine, etc. But there's an even more important reason. The Russians' #1 goal is to get our sanctions lifted off their oligarchs. So we put sanctions on them and it has affected their money. Some of their money is frozen and they can't get it. So Putin, deeply tied to the oligarchs, himself an oligarch, you think that he might care about that a little bit more than he cares about foreign policy? Yeah, it's the money, Lebowski. That's what they care the most about. So one of the things that they were pushing Trump to do is, hey, get some sort of deal between the Ukrainian government and the Russian government, so we could then say, hey, everything's solved. So you could lift the sanctions and we can get our money back. So that's also playing behind the scenes here. And so I hope the prosecutors keep digging. I hope they find out who was on the Russian side and what their motives were. And are they connected to, I mean, they are connected to Giuliani, but are they connected to him in a way that is illegal? And did Trump know who they are? Does he know where that 325,000 came from? Then we're gonna get to the problems in this story that are legal.
So real quick, so they face 5 years for 3 of the counts. They're each facing 4 counts. These 2 guys are, I don't know about the other 2, but these 2 Giuliani associates, 3 counts, maximum 5 years for the first 3 counts, 20 years for the second count, for the 4th count. So, that's 35 years potentially. I doubt they'd get that. But the hope is then, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, as you know, but in general, that they would be held without bail because, as you point out, they're obviously flight risks, and that then they would start talking because they don't want to go to prison for any amount of time. But there is, in these situations, with talking, the real possibility that their family would be killed by
yeah, you know what? I hadn't considered that.
Putin and his, and I mean, I say that like it's almost, it sounds funny, but he's done it, right?
Yeah, look, if they are in fact,
is that crazy to say, John?
No, I don't think that's no. Look,
turn up dead.
I hadn't thought of that at all, Ben. But now that you put that together, I mean, yes, there's the Russian angle here. Putin has killed people in Western countries before, notably in the UK several times. So whatever you do, do not put them in the same facility with the same guards that Jeffrey Epstein was in. And I'm not joking. Like, I mean, they better have double and triple guards on these guys, because I don't want to hear another story like, oh, golly gee, you'll never believe this. I mean, look, and the guards happen to be off duty. They were on a 15-hour shift.
They're overworked,
right?
Yeah.
And they happen to put sheets in there, and they happen to take their roommates away.
The thing is, I mean, we said that after Epstein got into the brawl a couple of weeks before the death, so we can say it now. It's not necessarily going to change anything, unfortunately. What other sort of lighter part of this story? This is the first time I've seen this, but Donald Trump has unleashed something that you can expect you will see many times until Donald Trump is out of office, at least. I told you that there were photos. Everybody knows there's photos. And so it wasn't long before people, including Parker Malloy, produced something like this. So you're seeing there the Nickelback thing. It's gonna be used for every photo from now on. So there you have Don Jr. It's the 2 people who were arrested, and also RNC co-chair Tommy Hicks Jr. But those 2 individuals are also in photos. There's one photo with Trump, Pence, and Giuliani, and those 2. Again, being in a photo doesn't necessarily mean anything, but that didn't stop Donald Trump from, tweeting out what he tweeted out.
Here's the only thing that it means, and then it gets to, I think, maybe even the most problematic part that is actually legal. So the reason that they're in all these pictures is because they're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to Trump's campaign, Trump's super PACs, to Republican congressmen, not just Pete Sessions, but also to the Republican leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy. So the problem is that if they weren't connected to foreign governments and they weren't using fake names, it's actually perfectly legal to give $325,000 to Trump's super PAC. Now, do you think that might influence a politician? All of Washington says no. Supreme Court says no, of course that wouldn't influence a politician. $325,000, no, they were going to vote the way that they were going to, and that doesn't matter. By the way, it could be $3.25 million. It could be $30 million, and it has been $30 million. NRA gave $30 million to Trump's super PACs. Sheldon Adelson has given $30 million to individual politicians. So does anyone in the country, conservative or progressive or anywhere in the middle, think that somebody giving $300,000 is not going to affect a politician, let alone $30 million? That the intent is not to obviously bribe the politician.
Right, I mean, there are probably examples where they gave $300,000 and didn't get what they wanted, right? Or the politician said, no, I'm not gonna do it. But you're right, the intent is obvious, and I would say that most times, probably works pretty effectively.
Yeah. Well, we have
overwhelming majority of the time it works excellently.
We have a version in this story. So Pete Sessions, the congressman that was mentioned,
he's a former congressman.
Former congressman.
That's
what I mean.
2018, but he's running again now in a different district.
Yeah, maybe this will help him. So Pete Sessions was approached by these individuals, and they wanted him to put pressure to get that the diplomat taken out, Yovanovitch, and they raised $20,000 for him. and he wrote a letter to Pompeo complaining about her and saying she was biased against Trump. So they hand over $20,000 and he does what they want. I mean, there's no more direct, it's just a bribe.
By the way, again, if they hadn't used fake names and it wasn't foreign money, that would be legal. You can give him $2,700 for his election, and then you can give the rest to a super PAC that's helping him win the election. And in our insane, incredibly corrupt system in America, they say, no, that doesn't influence the politician at all.
Even though he did it.
Even though he wrote the letter after he got the $20,000, they're like, no, don't believe your lying eyes. That is not a bribe.
Let me read a story here from the Texas Tribune from a week ago, 6 days ago, from October 3rd, when Pete Sessions announced his campaign to replace Bill Flores, who's retiring. So he's not running in his old district. As I said, he's running in a different district, and that's causing some, it says here, some unease among local Republicans. Sessions, quote, "My goal is to work together to restore the Republican majority in the House and maintain our control of the Senate and White House," Sessions said in a news relief Thursday afternoon. "My support for President Trump is unwavering, and I will dedicate my time in office to help enact his conservative."
Yeah, that's because you were both legally bribed by the same guys. It's okay, I pieced that one together.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, we're co-conspirators, so I'm with him. Yeah.
Look, wolf-pac.com/join, because if you don't get the money out, they're gonna, if again, not using fake names, totally legal to bribe any politician in the country and completely and utterly own them to get them to write any letter, fire any ambassador, take any action that you want. In fact, if you're a company or an individual, it's a little crazy not to bribe the politicians, because your competitor might bribe them. And it gives you an unbelievable advantage to bribe these politicians.
Our best case scenario is that, especially as you say, companies that make hundreds of millions of dollars, like, you know, it's not worth $500,000 for you to try this. And like our best case scenario is that company X that wants to drill gives $500,000, and company Y, which doesn't want to drill but wants to get a nuclear power plant, also gives $500,000. And then we're at, like, ideally reset to zero. You know,
yeah,
like
but of course what they're gonna do is somebody's gonna give 600, the other one's gonna give 700,000. What does that sound like? It sounds like an auction.
Right.
Because that's what it is.
No,
it's not a democracy.
And I don't think even that way, that's not, because here's who's not involved in any of that, people.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right. That's why you gotta get the money out. Wolfpack's trying to get the money out, and there's some progressive candidates running for president who are trying to get the money out. Until you get the money out, this corruption is going to continue unabated forever. And reporters that don't concentrate on that don't understand politics at all. Politicians who don't understand that that's the cancer in the system don't understand politics at all and will get nothing accomplished.
You know, I just don't understand why in my scenario that sort of grassroots activists concerned about global warming, they need to give $500,000 to even the playing field. And if they just do that, then we're fine.
This is the absurdity of the American system. Right. So that's why you've got foreign actors coming in, and a lot of times this is dark money. You're not even allowed to find out where the money came from. So how would we know if it's a foreign government or not a foreign government, a foreign actor or not a foreign actor? A lot of times you can't even ask. This is absurd. The American government is for sale. We shouldn't be surprised that some of the bidders are foreign governments. Yeah. They're like, if you're for sale, I'll buy you. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat, emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.